Hello students, welcome back. In the last video we discussed about functions, how to declare a function, and what is a function definition and what is a function call. In this video we'll discuss in more detail about um, what are the different types of functions, like uh, functions with arguments, how do we return a value from a function, and then the various methods, various ways to call a function or to pass arguments to a function. So these things we discussed yesterday. So we saw a program to add two numbers, where the function, we declared a function named add. This is a function uh, declaration, and then we have a main function. Inside the main function we call the function, and then here we have the function definition, where we initialize two variables, to a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, and then we just find the sum of these two numbers, and then we are printing this output. So this is what the program we saw yesterday. So next program what we're going to see is functions with arguments. So how can we create a function with arguments? What do you mean by arguments? Argument means something which is necessary for a function. So a function is going to do some operation with the past value. So I'm going to give a value to the function, and based on the value the function is going to perform some task. So that is called as arguments. So here whenever you want to use arguments in a function, we have to specify the type of arguments. Arguments is nothing but data what we are going to pass to a function. So in C programming, each and every data, whatever data we are going to specify in our program, every data has to be specified with the data type. As we know, the data types are globally, it can be categorized into integer as well as float for numbers, and then we have characters, and then strings for uh, other text informations. So here in our program, each and every variable, for example, if I want to add two numbers, then it is going to be a number. So whether it is a whole number or floating point number, so that we are deciding. So based on that we have integer and then the float. Then integer we have some other data types like short, long, and in the float also we have some other data types like double. Such kind of data types we have. Similarly, if you have character, then whether it is a single text, single word, or whether it is a single character, or it is a word, or a single line text, so all these things we can decide. Based on that we have to specify the data type. So here also this function, I'm going to write a function, so that function is going to perform a task. So what are the necessary details required for the function to perform the task? So let's see the same kind of program but with arguments. So this program, I just numbered it so that we can understand in which number, in which line what we are doing. So the first line goes like this: hash include std_h. So this is the necessary header file for input output functions. And then next line we have the function declaration. As we know, whenever we are going to use a function, the function must be declared, and then the function call should be available inside your main program, and the function should be defined after your main program. So in this one, the function declaration is here. So return type is void because this function is not going to return anything. Then function name is add. Then this function is going to add two numbers, so two integer number it is going to add. So in the declaration I'm specifying two integers here, so int comma int. So here I don't need to mention any variables. Even if you are mentioning the variables, it is not a mistake. So here I just specify declaration is just to inform the compiler that I'm going to use a function, and that function is going to use some arguments. So what is the type of the function? Return type of the function. Return type of the function is void. The function name is add, and it is going to accept two arguments, and the argument type is integer. So integer comma integer. So even if you are using both variables as integer, both arguments as integer, you have to separately mention int comma int. If you are using floating point variables, int comma float maybe, or character, any different types of data types can be mentioned over here. And then comes my main function. So main function, and then int a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. So here this function needs two arguments. We have to pass two values to this function. So I need to have the values. So either you can get the values from the user, or you can have the values by your own. So here I directly initialize two variables, a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20, and then add a comma b. So this is how we have to pass some arguments to the function. So add a comma b. So here I'm passing a. What is a? A is 10, b is 20. So it's two values I'm passing to this function. Okay, so here I should pass the specific value. For example, here I'm using integer as the argument type. So here also I should pass integer arguments. Here if I'm using floating point variables, then I should use floating point variables here, or either I can directly specify the values also. So whatever type of data type I have mentioned here, argument type, the same type of argument I have to pass. Then comes my function definition. In the function definition, I have to mention the formal arguments. So here this is called as actual argument and this is called as formal argument. What is actual argument? Actual argument is the argument which is available inside your main function. Like a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. So these are the two variables I'm having. So these two variables I'm passing as argument. So inside this main function, these two variables are called as actual arguments. And then in the function definition, we have two other variables, that is x and y. X and y are called as formal arguments. What do you mean by formal arguments? This a and b, the actual values, are copied to this formal arguments. So here a I am passing as 10, so 10 will be copied to x. Here I am passing b as 20, b will be the 20 will be copied to y. Okay, so the formal arguments will take a copy of actual argument, that is called as actual and formal arguments. Now the formal arguments, the arguments whatever we have in the function, that is going to perform the task. So printf sum is %d x plus y. So x plus y, x is 10, y is 20, so that values will be summed up and you will get the results. So this is how we have to use arguments in a program for a function. So let's see another example. So here I'll just go through these lines. So function declaration or function prototype. So line number 6, we have the function call with two arguments. One more thing, whenever you have a function with arguments, it is mandatory that we have to specify the number of arguments. If you are calling the function just like this without any arguments, then it will show error. It will show an error that like required number of arguments are not passed. So it is mandatory that if I have mentioned as two arguments for the function, then I have to pass two arguments, and this same type of argument we have to pass. Okay, so that is what function call with two arguments, and function definition is here from here, and then we are just adding and adding and printing the results. Let's see one example. So in this program, I'm going to use one function with arguments. So let's say the function name is print. So it is going to print some character. So I'll just declare a character variable here. So character is going to be the argument. So this is the function declaration. So then comes my main program. Let me change it to C programming. So then we have to declare a variable here. So I'm going to pass a character here. So I just need a character variable, that is ch is equal to a. I'm just declaring a as one value, initializing a as a value. Then I'm going to call the function print. Then ch, I'm just passing that argument. So then comes my function definition, void print. So here char. So here I have to specify the formal argument. You can specify any name for the argument. I'm just specifying as C. Then the function body. The function body, I'm just going to print that variable, whatever variable I'm getting from that main function, I'm just going to print it. So printf, it is going to be a string or character. So %c, comma C. I'll try to execute this. Sometime it may not work here. Yeah, it's not working. It's a TestMate I'm using, so it's not working. But anyway, this is a program. This program is not having any errors. So hash include std_h, then I am using a function. The function return type is void, a function name is print, and then this is my argument. I'm going to use one argument here. So what is the argument type? The argument type is character. So that is what I mentioned here. Then here comes my main function. Main function, I just declared one variable here, ch is equal to a, then print ch. Sorry, print print ch. I just call the function with the argument ch, and then here I define the function void print char c, then printf percentage c, then c. Actually we supposed to get the output as a as the output. So if I want to pass any other value, so directly we can pass the value. So even in if it is a single character, so I can pass it inside a single character also. So if I want to pass b, I can directly print it as b here. For example, if the values are available here in a variable c is the variable value I have mentioned, and if I want to pass as a variable, then ch has to be specified. So this is how normal function with arguments can be specified. And one more thing, so here I'm specifying one more thing, like how many times this character has to be printed. So I'm going to write a program. So this program is going to accept two arguments. One is a character argument, another one is an integer argument. So what I'm going to specify is this function. Whenever this function is called, I'm going to pass two arguments, a character I'm going to pass, and then an integer I'm going to pass. So if these both are passed, so this character has to be printed for these many number of times. So I'll declare the character here. So I'll specify the character as star, and then I'm going to declare the variable. I don't need to declare, I'll directly call the function here as 5. Okay, so whenever this function is called, it has to print star 5 times. So here I have to specify the formal arguments, char c, int any number, so n I can declare. So this statement has to get executed for n times. So for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Okay, so this statement, this character will be passed to this function, and then it will be executed for, this character will be printed for 5 times. So this is my program right now. Here there is one thing I want to mention here. So here I have a character and int. So in the function call, so this is function declaration, and this is function call. Function will be executed only if it is called, and this is function definition. Okay, so here I'm having two arguments. One is character argument, another one is integer argument. So the character argument I'm passing here, and then the integer argument I'm passing here. So here the positions are very important. So the first is a character argument, next is a integer argument. So I cannot pass like this 5 comma ch. I can't pass like this. So if you are passing like this, it is wrong. It cannot, compiler cannot understand whether that you are passing two argument, and then it cannot automatically adjust that 5 to this integer and character to this ch. It cannot automatically adjust that. So compiler will check for the position. So here the first position is 5, and here it will check whether it is, the first position is an integer or not. So here it is not an integer, so it will throw an error. So for that we have to properly specify the position of the argument. So first one is a character argument, I have to specify the character argument. Second one is the integer argument, I have to specify the integer argument. So I can call the function any number of times. For example, I'm just calling it again with another character, maybe hash comma 10 times. Hash can be executed for 10 times. So similarly, any like this ways we can call the function any number of times. So this function will be called for the specified number of times, and you will get the output. Okay, so this is what function with arguments. Function with arguments. Then another one is whenever we are discussing about functions, we have to know one thing, that is functions the variables we are declaring inside the functions and the variables we are declaring outside the functions. So something called as global variable and local variable that we need to know. So the variables declared inside a block are called as local variables, and variables local variables cannot be accessed outside its block. Global variables are variables which is not inside any of these blocks. For example, let's see the same program. So here I have declared some variables here. So ch I have declared a variable, and then I have declared another variables here, int I. So these variables are declared inside a block. So this is called as a block. This open curly brace and close curly brace. So whenever a variable is declared inside a block, that variable cannot be accessed outside the block. So this block is starting here and it is ending over here. So the ch variable is accessible only inside this block. Outside this block it cannot be accessed, and the variable I is declared inside this block, so it can be used only inside this block. So if you want to declare a global variable, we have to declare the global variable over here. So that should not be inside any block. For example, I'll declare a variable here, int global. I can give any name. I'm just declaring as global. Int global is equal to some value I'm printing, that is 10. So here this global variable can be accessed in any blocks. So here I have two blocks, one block, and I have another block here, and this is also a block. I didn't use this open curly brace and close curly brace, but you can use it. So here this is another block. Okay, so the variable int I is available only inside this block. It cannot be accessed outside. So if I'm declaring any variable inside this block, that can be accessed inside this block as well as this block. Okay, that is how it is going to work. So here I have declared a global variable. Global variable is outside blocks, so it is not inside any of the blocks. So global variable is accessible inside any blocks. For example, if I want to print the global variable value here, printf global value %d comma that global. So the same thing can be printed in any of the lines, anywhere you can print. I can print it over here also. Even in this function also I can print. So whenever that printf statement is getting executed, the global value variable is accessible. But at the same time, here I have declared a variable called ch, and in this block, if I try to printf that value, ch value %d ch. So the ch variable is declared over here. It is inside this block. But if I'm trying to access it in this block, that is another function block, it cannot be accessible. It can be accessible only if it is passed as an argument, as an actual argument, then it is copied to the formal arguments, and then it is accessible. Otherwise it is not accessible. So that is what this slide is explaining. It's about global variables and local variables. So next one is returning a value from function. Returning a value, how do we return a value from a function? So far we discussed some functions with performing some task, and it is printing the value directly. But here we are going to see a function which is going to perform a task, and it is going to return the value to the function call. So wherever we are calling the function, to that place it is going to return the value. So that is called returning a value from function. So the result obtained from a function is sent back to the calling function through the return statement. So here we are going to use a statement called return statement. So return statement is mandatory for returning a value from the function. The return statement returns one value per call. So each and every time whenever you are calling a function, it is going to return a single value. Okay, and then the function value the value returned is collected by variable of the calling function. So it is going to return a value. So I'm going to give you something. You need to have a container to hold the things. Similarly, here whenever a function is returning a value, the value should be stored inside a variable. So we need a variable whenever you want to get returning a value from the user or from the function. So returning can be done directly like this, return within bracket variable, or we can directly specify the expression. For example, return a if it is a variable, or return 10 if it is a number, or if you want to perform an operation and if you want to return a plus b, that is what the expression, that also it is possible. And then whenever it is returning, we have to use variables to hold the values. So let's see another function with returning a value. So here hash include stdio.h, and then so this is what the return type I told you. So far we have seen some programs with return type as void, but here we are using a return type as integer, because in this function I'm going to return a function, I'm going to return a value that is integer. So I'm using integer variable here, integer data type here, int square, and it is going to accept one argument, int x. So in the previous program we saw just I have mentioned as int and the formal argument was not declared, but it is okay if you are declaring or not declaring, but it is mandatory to declare in the function definition. So here just to show the different variants, I have declared the value here, int x. Then comes our main function, int main, int m comma n. So two variables declared. Enter some number for finding square. So enter any number to find the square. So scanf %d ampersand m. So I'm getting the value from the user for the m variable, and then n is equal to square of m. So far we call the function. So far we call the function that is without the variable. So here I'm using a variable, n is equal to square of m. Okay, so printf square of given number, then whatever the values I have, I'm printing. So here what is going to happen, n is equal to square of m. So this function will be called here, this is function call. So this function is going to get called. So square int x, this is a formal argument, so m is the actual argument, the m is getting passed here. So whatever the user entered, the value will be passed over here. For example, if I entered 5, and the 5 is the value which is passed over here, and then int p, so I have declared another variable here, and then p is equal to x into x. So square means it is just 5 square. So 5 into 5, 5 into 5 is 25. The values are calculated and the output is stored over here, and then I'm not printing any value, but I'm returning the values to the user. So return p. So return p, what is it? If the user has entered 5, the 5 is copied to x, and the output of p is 25, and 25 is being returned. So 25 is being returned to this line, and I'm getting one integer value as output. So the integer value should be stored inside this variable n. Okay, so then I'm printing the value, the square of the given number, %d is %d, the square of the given, what is the %d? 5 is 25. So this is how we are going to use square of a number. So let's change this program. I can't change this program, I'll write another program for the simplified version of using a return statement. So I'm going to use one function which is going to add two numbers, and it is going to return a value. So int comma int. So two numbers it is going to use, and then my main it's the main function. In the main function I'm declaring two variables, a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. Then I'm going to use another variable c just to get the output, and then I'm going to call the function c is equal to add of a comma b. Then printf function, printf statement, the sum is %d comma c. So I'm going to call the function add with two arguments a and b, so that it will be summed up and the value are going to be returned to the variable c. So it is going to return an integer, that is why I mentioned the return type as integer. So then my function definition, int x comma int y. I can directly do this, return x plus y. So return x plus y. So this values will be automatically added, and that value will be returned here. So the function call will execute this, it will return x plus y, 10 and 20 will be added, and then it will be returned to the variable c. So the output you will be getting here. So this is how we have to use a return function. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can just comment on the video that I'm posting in the Google Classroom. I'll explain you with more examples. Maybe I can upload more programs as an example. In the next video, we'll discuss about passing arguments to the function. Thank you.